Alrighty, so what this is going to go over is how to make oblique sketches, because that's another perspective that gets used in the design world. We've looked at isometric, we've looked at making multi-view drawings that involve, of course, the isometric and an orthographic. An orthographic is a straight-on view at any one side of a object. Okay, so in this case, a straight-on view is straight from the top, straight from the front, straight from the right. But now we're going to look at oblique because for a lot of beginners, oblique is going to be way more accessible than doing an isometric sketch. Okay, what you see right here is an actual cube. All right, and I have it centered under the camera at the moment. And then we've got an oblique sketch of this cube and an isometric sketch. So you might start thinking, okay, what are the differences between these? Well, let's start rattling some of those off. Isometric, it always shows the object at an angle, right? And usually it's a 120-degree angle. In fact, it should always be that. And it would show certain sides, okay? Traditionally, it's the top, front, and right sides that get shown. An oblique is going to take a little bit of that orthographic idea. Okay, so square on view of one of the sides of your object, whatever it is. In this case, I'm the cube, nice and simple. And then, kind of like add on a little bit of the top and a little bit of the right side. Okay, and as this picture shows, there's the oblique cabinet, which is like a half view. Okay, and then the oblique Cavalier, which shows it literally measures if these were all 1 inch sides and I wanted this to be to scale, okay, 1 inch, 1 inch, these lines are going to go back a full inch, okay, which in reality this looks really weird, okay, because if I put kind of an angle, all right, this side length, these are equal to each other, this side length and this side length, but looking back, yeah, it looks more like half, right? You're not seeing the whole side, okay? So that's just kind of the difference between those two. All right, if that's what you need to know, you can pause here or stop here. But I'm just going to show you how you go about starting these sketches. You might want that information. All right. So to start, let's say, yeah, we're doing one of these 1 inch cubes. Okay. So and I've got my scale. I know this is going to be a 1-to-1 scale then because these are all 0.5 inches. So I'm going to do 4 grids. Okay, and I talked about how I have a pet peeve of misaligned views earlier, so let's just keep it consistent with the one above. All right, so this was the line. All right, put a point there, and then we're going to have a point over here, and that's going to be our bottom. All right, I'll make the rest of this, and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, so I finished the sides, and now it's time for me to start trying to represent some of the depth of this object, okay, and yeah, it's part of the width kind of already. And we can see the height and width, but we really want to see the depth. All right, so traditionally with obliques, you use a 45-degree angle, okay, and if you have square grid paper like this, 45 degrees is pretty easy. You just connect corner to corner, all right? So the question is, do we want to do a cabinet or a cavalier? Well, what I like about using a cube as an example is I can show both in the same drawing, okay? But first of all, I need to line up, all right, my line here. And if I'm going to do cabinet, which is the more realistic looking one, it needs to be half the depth, okay? So if you're not a cube, you will have to kind of estimate what half the depth will look like or be. You might be able to measure it, but okay, I'm lucky because I can literally use my ruler. Actually, let me hold it like this. I know it's confusing, but all right, and I can measure a 1/2 inch, make sure it's lined up with these corners, and go that far back, because this is going to be my cabinet. Okay, so there's one side. The cabinet lined up at the 45-degree angle. All right, let me finish the other sides. Okay, so moving on to, we've got the rest of the sides. And yeah, to make sure we're clear, you might think, oh, I can count out squares since they're all the same here. And just like, these are going 4 across, I want to go half, I need to go 2 squares back. Well, hold on that because we're at an angle, right? So since you're at an angle, once you start drawing at an angle, you can't use the squares reliably anymore. All right, so that's why you would use the ruler. Okay. So yeah, what I would do is I'd connect these. do my best to connect them quickly while you're watching. This looks like it got off maybe a little bit. Okay. And this is that oblique cabinet view. All right. So it has a certain amount of realism to it. You know, you could imagine looking at a cube and seeing, you know, that much back. Okay. But we call it cabinet because this is half the depth of the actual depth here. All right. It's half that distance. So yeah, we've got the oblique, and at this point, it is a cabinet. Okay. I'm going to be lazy and show you the Cavalier using the same base drawing, okay, because with a cube I can do that. I just extend the line further back. All right, Cavalier, I go the full depth. And here's the mnemonic device. So cabinet, think of a cabinet, it's kind of like a half closet, right? They don't typically go very deep. So use that to help remember what oblique cabinet is versus oblique Cavalier. All right. So now I see extend these back a full inch. Okay, so while I'm working on that, I might pause it again. Okay, and I measured each of these out, so it's exactly an inch now. It looks like those height and width dimensions are exactly an inch. Okay, and so now I'm just going to connect them. And at this point, I have an oblique Cavalier. Okay, so I'm going to write Cavalier here, and that would of course be this full length. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and shade my Cavalier. The last step of any drawing is, you know, the shading. All right, let's assume our light source is the sun. Okay, and that's kind of coming from the side, so this is going to be a little brighter. This will be the darkest side. All right, so go about shading. But while I'm kind of working on that, I'm just trying to think if there's anything else you need to know about these views. I think you might prefer using oblique perspectives or views when you have to, you know, provide a pictorial, as we call it, because it's a little easier to do, and that's fine. It's absolutely fine for this class. We're going to do this side not quite as dark. All right, and then this will be kind of lighter. Yeah, but you might prefer to do the oblique because it's a lot easier to do something like this than, you know, something like this. All right. Yeah, hope that helped you. Remember, anytime you want to do an oblique, you take a square on view. All right, so you're looking straight at the thing, and then you just kind of add a little bit of the back. All right, at a 45-degree angle. Different from the isometric, which is a 30-degree angle. Okay. All right. Hope that helped.